Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-jana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahegana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sahigana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome back everyone. It seems like we haven't had a class for too long. This last week was a little gap due to Maharaj Memorial Service. So sorry for that, but we'll catch up that class next Wednesday as Sundar Gopal Prabhu has already published. So just confirming, so today is 19th, so we'll have a class on 22nd of March, which will be just a replacement for the 12th of March, and then we'll have our normal class on 26th of March. And after that, we'll have a gap for the week because 30th is Ram Navami, so we can't have a midweek class, and 2nd of April is the Vyas Puja of His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, which is a big festival in the temple. So we'll rather have the class on 5th of April, which is a Wednesday, and then continuing the normal schedule of Sundays. Okay, let's start. I think this is where we started, Sundar Prabhu. I was a bit confused actually.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, 8:14. Okay. So let's start. I can see Manmohan Prabhu and Shraddha Mataji on the screen. Any one of you can do 8:14.
What is 8:14? 8:14.
Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, so text 14 is Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityasha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginam. So translation is, for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pratha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So Prabhu, you taught us for 8.14 that Ananya is other, and and it says Anya is other and Ananya is none other. So Krishna is very strongly saying here that he wants us to give our focus 100% to him. So, and you also use that in material world, we say the person is possessive lover, that Krishna is in the real meaning, he is a possessive lover. So he doesn't want us to go to him sometimes, and other times we can go to Lord Ganesha or any other devotee. He wants our 100% space in our heart. And and the Cheta is obviously the mind or consciousness or attention. You can say Satatam is always, constantly, and Yomam Smriti Nityasha, and every day, Smriti, remembering Krishna every day. And we need to give our heart and soul to Krishna. So we cannot deviate from that path. And Sulabha, you said, Tasyaham Sulabha, you said it's this word only used in this verse. It's not being used in any other word. Sulbha is easy, the easiest way. So if we continuously we are giving our attention to Krishna and thinking about Krishna without any deviation, and we are doing it constantly, then achieving Krishna will be easy for us. So yeah, and the similar verse is okay. Let me finish first this. And Nitya Yukta's constant engagement, and for that, it's for the so in this way, if a devotee concentrate on Krishna every day and not thinking about anything else, then it will be very easy for the devotee to achieve Krishna or achieve the bhakti, pure bhakti. And you quoted one verse also from like or maybe incidents from Sri Rupa Goswami saying that if you want to detach yourself from your material wealth, you should go to Yamuna. If you don't want to detach, then please don't go to Yamuna. So in that way, he was kind of glorifying Krishna. He was not saying don't go, but he was glorifying Krishna. How powerful Krishna's attraction can be. If you once you go there, you will forget everything, your car or your material wealth, whatever you have. So we can dovetail whatever we have. That's the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. We can dovetail whatever material wealth we have. We can connect it with the Bhakti, and we can keeping Krishna in the center. And we can don't do in any other yoga, Ashtanga yoga or any other yoga, because in Ashtanga yoga, like first you have to leave your house. You can't live in the big house, and yeah. So yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you. Nice explanation, Mataji. Just quickly on the word Sulabha, can someone expand on this a little bit more? So Mataji has translated, definitely. It's easier. What does Sulabha sort of signifies here? Anyone?
Sulabha, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
You said that Krishna made it easier. Sulabh means easier. So Krishna made it easier on this one. So when you mentioned that if we remember Krishna exclusively throughout our life without any deviation, then Punarjanma will not happen, and that will be the real success. And this is the easier way, when even though we have all possessions, we can put all those possessions towards Krishna, and that would be an easier way to get Krishna, to attain Krishna.
Yep. Okay. Similar explanation. Sorry, what Shraddha Mataji already gave. We can.
So
one more point. Actually, I'm looking.
Yeah. Can I try, Prabhu?
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu. So similar to other worshipping other demigods require lots of austerities. You have to maintain very hard brahmacharya or penances, and a lot of tapasya you need to do, which is relatively hard than following the devotional service as prescribed here. And that's where Krishna is saying it's a sulabh. It's an easier way to attain Krishna as compared to the amount of effort that one would put forward in order to achieve something which is temporary. And the example that we have seen is Hiranyakashipu versus Prahlad Maharaj. 5 years of devotional service versus 60,000 years of standing on one leg. Yeah.
And Brahmaji said, no one has ever done such a severe austerity before. He said that, Hiranyakashipu. And that gave the result for 5 years only. Yeah, Rupam Prabhu, thank you, Prabhuji, very nice. So whatever austerities or penances, whatever efforts we do in another path, relation to that, bhakti path is very, very easy. And then whatever answers you gave is perfectly right. You can stay in your home, you can have your job and car and all those things, but you still be the best devotee. And examples we have, say, Prahlad Maharaj, he was a king. Dhruv Maharaj was a king, Yudhishthira Maharaj was a king. They were not the paupers, but they were the best of the best devotees at the same time. So Bhakti Yoga does not stop you to have your worldly relation, but actually it enforces, it strengthens your relationship with the people as well as with Krishna. And that's why relatively this path is easy. Now, one more point I think we discussed, no path is easy in that sense. No path is easy. So Bhakti path is also not so easy. Like doing the first part, Ananya Cheta Sattam. So there are two parts here. Ananya means, as Mataji was exclusive. exclusive remembrance. And how much exclusive? Satatam, all the time. Now, when you go to temple, thinking about Krishna exclusively is easy, relatively easy. You're standing in the Aarti, you're listening Katha or Kirtan. Many times we are absorbed, if not all the time. Sometimes even in the Aarti, your mind goes to a completely opposite place. And you're like, come on, my mind, how can you think something like that? But anyway, relatively is very easy. Huh? When you stay in the temple in the association of devotees for 2 hours or for a program, very easy. Huh? Kirtan, Katha, Prasad, fantastic. But as soon as you come out of the that premises, you go to the car, all these different things, haunt your mind. So Krishna says, not only Ananya Cheta for 2 hours or 3 hours, Satatam. Now, do you think it's easy for the rest of your life? It's not. But what it's saying, relatively easy. Another thing of Sulbha is, this is the only verse, as Shraddha Mataji also mentioned, in the whole Bhagavad Gita where this word is used, where Krishna is sort of certifying the path of bhakti. He does not certify anything else. Huh? So a very big personality, for example, he certifies your brand. I don't know, many like Nike or Adidas, something, and they publish that. See, this celebrity star is also using Nike shoes or Nike clothes, whatever it is, right? So that's a testimony by a big celebrity. Now, if the testimony is given, it's a big thing. It's a big thing in the material world. So what testimony Krishna is giving, what certification he is giving? Only for one marg. He does not give for Ashtang. He does not give for Karma. He said that's fine. But testimony, certification is given only for one path. And that's why we should also try this path, because Krishna is saying it's Sulbha. And if you compare in the 12th chapter, he will actually exclusively say the other paths are very, very difficult. Krishna will say that. Huh? So that makes very, very easy for us to understand that Bhakti Marg is the only marg, especially for Kali Yuga Jivas like us. Huh? So it's a very, very nice verse, very assuring verses. The Bhakti path is really nice. Okay. Thank you, Shraddha Mataji. Let's move to 8:15. We have Madhuri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So the translation here is, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So again, Krishna is continuing in saying, like earlier he said about devotion with Yoga Mishra devotion, and here in this section it is about pure devotion. So last verse, as Shraddha Mataji has explained, like how we can get the Ananya with no other or exclusive devotion. So now in this verse, Krishna is continuing to say what is the benefit of doing that such type of devotion is, like we are never entering into this temporary world. And here the main thing what we have to see is Dukkalayam Asashvatam is the main word which we need to focus. So it's a place of miseries, whoever it may be, whoever has come into this, whether he's a great big celebrity or anybody, but at the end of the day, it is all place of miseries and it is temporary. So if I go word by word, Mam Upetya. Upetya is after achieving me. Punarjanma, again birth in this Dukkalayam Ashashvatam, in the place of, this is a place of misery and temporary. Napnuvanti Mahatmana, they won't be, then Napnuvanti, na is never attain, those great souls never attain Punarjanma here. Samsiddhim Paramam Gatha. So they attain the perfection, ultimate perfection will be achieved. That is nothing but the Supreme Lord's abode, Goloka Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is the benefit of pure devotion.
Yes. Anything else we can add here? There are quite a few things which we can sort of add on. So the explanation is correct, but we can just make it more complete.
Prabhu, can I add something?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So I was listening to Chaitanya Prabhu's lecture, and he says that this is one of the most famous verses, very often quoted, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam section of it. And what it, as Madhuri Mataji explained, it is, yes, this world is temporary, it's a place of misery. And Prabhu says it's exactly opposite to the ideas that are posted in different movies where, or in books even, that where we live a happily ever after. So happily ever after is actually opposite to what Krishna is saying. It's not a happy world, and there is no happy world as such. So Krishna is actually just making a declaration that this world is dukkhalam ashashvatam. He's not saying, he's just making a passing fact that it is dukkhalam ashashvatam, but then he also gives some kind of he also gives a consolation, or he says, but if you focus on me, if you worship me, then this world doesn't become dukkhalam as such. Just one point I noted from, or that stuck very prominently from Prabhu's lecture.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Mataji. More points which we
Prabhu,
discussed
can I add
last.
something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so when we talk about that this temporary world is full of miseries, it is not to make us disturbed and miserable, that thinking, oh my God, I've come into this world, but it is helping us to become detached in this world while we are functioning in this world, and to make arrangements or make plans and endeavor to how to get out of this miserable world, and not to remain miserable thinking that this place is a place of miseries. So that is one point I wanted to mention.
Yes.
And Krishna is also saying that actually leave this world and come back to me, because this world is temporary and miserable.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. There are a couple of more hands. Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Akhand Rasa Prabhu Pehle. You can
Can I
say.
add one more point? Here, basically, Krishna is actually outlining what will be the life if you remember him exclusively.
Yeah. So that's another thing. And okay, I'll not add anything. Let devotees add. Akhand Rasa Prabhu, you want to add something else?
And also, I think one of the points was that success is not when you get what you want or what you like. Success is actually liking what you get.
Yes, that's a very nice point, which we discussed. More points we discussed. I remember a few more in my mind, so I just wanted, because this is such a nice and famous verse, we have to sort of understand all those points as much as possible. Priya Mataji?
Can I add, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. I think there were some hands earlier, so we'll just give them the opportunity first. Sure, we'll come back to you, Prabhu. Priya Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I think you mentioned the Acharyas, Vishwanath Thakur also says about never having the desire to go back once we actually in this material world have faced of this dukhalya. So we have faced so many miseries that, we don't actually have that desire to come back. So I think you mentioned this in regards to someone's question, I think in the class. So you have no desires to come back. So this is also something you added, that, we don't want anything more because we have actually experienced so many miseries that we don't want to come back.
Yep. I think we did discuss in some verse, I can't remember which one, but yeah, we did discuss. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. Manmohan Prabhu or Shruta Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So just I wanted to add one more thing. You quoted Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and you said he said bhakti is not resource dependent. Bhakti is desire dependent. So if you have a desire to do bhakti, you will do it in any situation, anyhow.
Yep.
Although they say it's dukhale, where all the miseries are arranged very nicely, but because of the Maya, we think it's dukhale. So that's another. And it is not the happy people who are grateful, it is grateful people who are happy. That's what.
Wow, we discussed so many points, huh? All these quotations are coming up. Thank you for reminding me, to be honest. Thank you. I'm looking for one word actually, which is given in this verse. We all have to concentrate on, focus on that one word. Although whatever you have said is all correct, just trying to sort of push a little more.
Shashvatam? Shashvatam?
No, that's already discussed. That's
Tolerate.
is discussed.
Tolerate.
Tolerate. Can you expand on that, Prabhuji?
I have written as tolerate, but I have not.
Tolerate, okay. One word.
Or is
Important.
it Napnuvanti?
That's done. Napnuvanti is done. Madhuri Mataji explained word by word translation. Done.
Samsiddhim, Prabhu.
Huh?
Samsiddhim.
Sorry, Charu Mataji, I could not hear you.
Samsiddhim.
Samsiddhim Paramgata. No, perfection. We use that all the time. Okay, let's Sundar Gopal Prabhu or Satyama Mataji.
For tolerate, you I think mentioned if you tolerate, then Brahmaji says that you have the right to go back.
Okay, good. I didn't remember that one, but yeah, thank you for reminding that. 10:14. Rupam Prabhu, you wanted to add something else?
Yeah, Prabhu. Not the word that you're looking for, but the point from the shlok. Prabhu, we discussed about the example where kids, even if it's raining outside or storm or under heavy sun, they want to go out and play. Then the father, of course, tries to convince that this is not the right time to go out, but still they insist. And then when they go out, they realize it's actually not the right time. It's not the right, circumstances are not appropriate. And then they want to come back. So in a similar logic, the Jivatmas also actually try to enjoy. Their intention to come down to the material world is to enjoy. But when they realize it's actually not the place which will fulfill their enjoyment, then they start looking to go back to Godhead. That's something we discussed last time, and in relation to Kala Shashwatam.
Yeah, we did discuss that. I remember that. I still haven't found that
One
word.
word. Akshara, Prabhu. Kshara and Akshara.
Not in this verse. Read the verse. Everyone will just look at.
Is it Mahamapetya?
Mahamapetya, no, that's the result. Madhuri Mata clearly said that. Mahamapetya after achieving me. And that relates to 8:14, which is correct relation. Ananya Cheta Satam Mam Ismati Nisya. So if you do that, Mahamapetya happens. That's perfect relation. Mataji already said. Sakhi Radhika Mataji. Important word. My question is
Mahatma, Prabhu.
Mahatma. Hari Bol. Mahatma word actually is the most important. Now, as Charu Mataji explained in Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's lecture, this is one of the most famous verses where these two words are quoted again and again and again, which is true. But Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, this is not the thrust of the verse. The thrust of the verse is not this one. Why? And he gives two examples. I'll share that, and maybe I shared last time as well. One is jail, one is hospital. Doctors don't mind. Hospital is not the best place. Huh? No one recommends you to go to the hospital. Let's go and visit the hospital. It's such a nice place. Kids' holidays are coming, so where we are planning to go to the hospital. Now, we don't plan that way. Huh? We go to the hospital or we go to the jail when the things are not going so well. And when you are in the hospital and doctor says, my dear patient, if you take this medication, for next 1 week or so, if you follow all these rules and regulations, you can be out very soon. You can go home. So patient will recommend to the doctor, hey, doctor, you know what? I'm so happy here. Please don't send me home. Give me more injections, give me more medication, give me more fasting schedules. But doctor, I just love this place. A sane person will not say that. In sense, okay, I can't say much about them, but a sane person would like to go back home. So that same person is called Mahatma. So the qualities described for this material world, although very oftenly quoted, but this is not the crux of the verse. When you say jail is a painful place, do you say, oh, I've never heard that actually. I thought jail was an exciting place. I was thinking actually of going to the jail next month. Now, no one says that. No one says this about the hospital. So when Krishna is explaining this verse, he's not sort of putting his whole focus on this Dukhalem Shashwatam. He's saying, you know what? This place is Dukhalem. This jail is not a good place anyway, right? Why don't you come back to me? And how do you come back to Mamopetya? And as Mataji said, what is the benefit? Punarjanma na vidyate. Janma karma chame divyam 4.9. Same thing, right? Samsiddhim parmam gada. But who will do that? Mahatmanaha. Another verse in Bhagavad Gita, which we recently read, related to Mahatma. There are a couple of them.
Mahatmanastu
Mahatmanastu Mam Partha, Devim Prakriti Mashta. We have not read as yet. Prabhu is reading Bhagavad Gita nicely. Will be there soon. But anyone which we have read earlier than this.
719.
719, what's the verse? Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlavaha. So Mahatma is something who has realized Vasudeva is everything. Vasudeva is everything. And that Mahatma will not be able to come back in this material world. He will go to Krishna. How? Ananya Cheta Satatam Yo. Mam Ismrati Nityashaha. Because he's doing that. Is it clear? So the focus is not on the Khalyam Shastra, actually the focus is on Mahatma. And how to become Mahatma? 814. Very easy path. 814, any examples? Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. Anyone who achieved Krishna very in a sulabh way, in a easy way. Quick example. There can be many, but
Dhruv Maharaj attained in 6 months.
Dhruv Maharaj, 5-year-old boy, hasn't gone to school as yet, doesn't know how to read and write, doesn't know any Vedic mantras, stuti, hasn't done any Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav course, he wasn't teaching, he wasn't a pujari. He achieved Krishna in how long? 6 months' time. Now, what is this 6 months? Is comparatively speaking, nothing. Lord Vishnu came out of the love. Devotees do, as Rupam Prabhu was explaining, Hiranyakashipu was doing 60,000 years of tapasya to Brahmaji. Celestial years, not even human years, celestial years. And then only Brahmaji came and he got born for 5 years, human years. So it's better to worship Krishna. So this verse is focusing actually on becoming a Mahatma. And don't bother about this one, because this is Dukh Alay. One last point in this verse. What does Dukh Alay mean? Now we have translated it little more expansion. Dukh Alay.
Place of misery.
It's Dukha Alay. So you gave an example of Vidyalaya where there's education. So Dukh Alay, that's where Dukh resides.
So Alay means to put in a very nice, nicely presented. So when you go to a shopping mall, Kohl's or Woolworths, they have actually these employees who just put the products from back to the front, back to the front, back to the front. The back will completely be empty, but at the front, it look very nice. So people are attracted. It's very nice and clean. Some music is going on. When you go there, you just forget. Everything is half price, 20% discount. Pick. You go for milk and you end up buying, $60 stuff. It happens with someone so many times. Oh, this is on sale. That is on sale. This is called Alay. Very nicely. And it attracts you. But actually what it is doing is trapping you. It's very attractive, looks very attractive, but it's actually trapping you. The material energy is trapping. You get attracted. Your focus gets diversified other than Krishna. And that is called Dukh Alay, as Mataji said, Vidyalay, Ras Alay. So everything is put in a very nice decorative place. Okay, let's move forward.
Prabhu, I have a question, a quick one.
Yes, Sakhiradhika Mataji.
Prabhu, just maybe it has been discussed, but just that here Krishna says that the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world. So I'm just thinking, please guide if I'm wrong, correct me, but I am just a thought that, how in Bhagavatam Shukdev Goswami came to this material world. He didn't want it to come. And then I'm thinking of Prabhupada, and I'm thinking of a lot of live devotees. Is it like the example you gave that they're like doctors who come here to, and then, but they are also affected by the miseries in this world. But having said that, in Bhagavatam, in some of the purports, Prabhupada writes that we think that they are in misery, but they're beyond this misery. So how to understand this in this context?
Okay, it's very big and deep question. I'll try to say a few things about it. As you gave the example of Srila Prabhupada, for example, and there are many, Shukdev Goswami and all that. So they are like flying doctors. Now, when you are sick, looks like Mataji, you are a little sick. So if you are a little bit, so you'll take a Panadol or something and it's not controllable. So you will, what you will do? You'll go to a medical center, right? If you're too sick, then what do? You go to the hospital. If you're way too sick, then what happens? Ambulance comes to your house, right? So when you're a little sick, you go to the doctor. When you're too sick, then ambulance comes. So Prabhupada is like that ambulance, which comes in this material world because we are so sick. Prabhupada says, this is the difference between our sanstha, our organization, and other missionaries. Other missionaries, people go, I'm hungry, and they give food, they give medicine, they give some clothing and all that. That's nice. But our organization is not like that. We go to the people and tell, walking suit, boot, nice looking people, sir, you are sick, please take the medicine, and sir will slap you. Am I look like a sick person? My Guru Maharaj gave a last message. Many of you would have heard that. And Maharaj mentioned that the wealthiest person in this world is the pauper. You have the real wealth of Krishna consciousness. Huh? So whoever is Krishna conscious, the more serious you are, the wealthier you are. In the material world, the definition is the more sort of dollars and pounds you have in your account, you're very successful. You are very intelligent. You're very handsome or smart, or whatever you want to call it. So that's the definition of success, but that's not the definition in Krishna consciousness. So when these devotees come in and they sort of go through this human so-called miseries, they may have some bodily pain, they may have to go to the hospital, take some medication, and sort of show the symptom of a normal person. That's what Krishna does as well. So if you look in Ramayana, for example, or taking Krishna Lila as well, Krishna took birth in Mathura, and then what does he do? He doesn't, become a Virat Roop and kill Kansa. He tells Vasudev, can you please take me to Nanda Gokul? So Yashoda Maya says, not Yashoda, Devaki says, I'm too fearful of Kansa. So Krishna says, can you please take me to the Gokul? Now, he could have said, Maya, I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is this Kansa? What is this Hiranyakashipu? You don't have to worry about it. But even when Krishna comes in this material world, he acts like a human being. Draupadi Chirharan, for example, now Krishna didn't know about it. Krishna couldn't have saved it. So Krishna could have done so many things, but many times, if not all the times, Krishna does a very normal Leela, very, very normal Leela. And in that, he himself, Lord Ram, is going in the forest barefoot. He doesn't have any shoes. And these thorns are coming in his leg, and his legs are bleeding. Now, can you imagine? Lord Ram doesn't have blood, but his legs are bleeding. He's getting hurt. He's getting tired. Sita Maya, completely spiritual, tells to Lord Ram, I'm so tired. Can we please have some break? And Lord Ram says, okay, you can have a break. Radharani tells Krishna, I'm too tired. Can you take me on your shoulders? So all these things represent, they are beyond the misery, as you correctly said, but they show us as they are normal human beings. Why do they do that? So that if they can do it, now we cannot imitate Prabhupada. We cannot do that. But if Prabhupada then say 100%, I can do 1 or 2%. Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks, and he was 70-year-old, had no money, and he did all this preaching worldwide. I can have, $2 million in my bank account. I can have my family and all that. Can I do some seva for Krishna? So the answer comes down to, yes, I should do something. Prabhupada did so much. Does this make sense? So.
Yes, Prabhu. So what I understood is that, yes, they don't take the great souls. They never return to the temporary world as such. But the Mahabhagavats, they come to.
They are sent. Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale. So it was sent by Krishna.
Sent by Krishna.
When Prabhupada was in a spiritual world, I heard from Giriraj Maharaj. Krishna said to Prabhupada, whatever his spiritual name is, I don't know. In the spiritual world, I don't know the name. But Maharaj Krishna said, can you go and do something for me? And Prabhupada said, of course I can do. And Krishna goes like, can you please go to the material world and preach? And Prabhupada says, no, not that one. And Krishna said, no, you just said you can do it. And Prabhupada is like, got caught. Okay, what do you want me to do? Just go and preach. And don't worry, I'll arrange everything. You just have to go and write my books. I'll arrange everything for you. Prabhupada says, all right. So Maharaj said, he's like a sakha. He's like a friend of Krishna. And Krishna requested him to go. Prabhupada didn't want to come. Maharaj said that Prabhupada didn't want to come. It's not a funny place. But Prabhupada came because it was a request of Krishna. And how can you say no to Krishna? So this is how Prabhupada example we can understand.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you.
Okay. Nice question. 8:16. Where I was. Raghavi Mataji. Not sure whether you were there in the last class. No, she's not.
Sorry, Prabhu, I was.
No problem. Ujjwal Ras Mataji or Akhand Rasa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
8:16. The translation: from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all the places of misery, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kuti, never takes birth again. So Krishna here is again outlining and comparison between the spiritual and material worlds. So basically, when you attain his abode, you never take birth again into the material world. Some of the meanings are Brahma Bhuvana Loka means it's the abode of Brahma. Even the abode of Brahma, which is the highest in the material world, is also subject to annihilation and repeated births and deaths. So even if you attain the highest planet in the material world, still you have to come back and take birth again. Puna avartino means you have to come back again to take birth. Mam upetya means after you come back to me, you will never take birth again. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Okay, you got the gist. So basically, yes, Mahji.
Yeah, so you mentioned about how the nature of the material world is, whether one goes to the highest planet, which is Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planet. It is still full of misery and it's a temporary world. And you mentioned about how Srila Prabhupada said that this is actually not a place for a gentleman. So basically what we have to do is do our business, do what we have to. Don't try to make yourself comfortable and happy in this place, because it can never be a happy place. It is never a win-win situation in this world. So do your best or do the needful what you can and focus on the devotional life and endeavor to go back to the spiritual world, to go back to Krishna, because that is the place where one never takes birth again.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. So this is...
And one more thing you mentioned about just we should take whatever is our quota. So whatever is quota is, be happy with that.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Mataji. And also one more point which Prabhupada mentioned in the verse which we discussed. If Brahma or the other devotees are living in the Brahmaloka, other people living in Brahmaloka, if they are devotees, they go back to the spiritual world. If they are not, they come down. As simple as that. Which happens with every single jiva in the material body. If consciousness is pure, you go back. If not, come down. Okay, 8:17. Where I was. Prasanatma Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
17, it is by human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such is also the duration of his night. So if you take the Sanskrit, it says Sahasra Yuga, that is 1,000 ages. That is one kalpa. I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's correct, Prabhu. One kalpa equals to 1,000 Divya Yugas.
1,000 Divya Yugas. So similarly, it says Ahar, that's one day, and similarly Ratrim Yuga Sahasram. Like that, night also, 1,000 Yuga of Brahma, that is Dojana, understand the answer. So this annihilation and creation and annihilation happens for every day and night of Brahma. That's what it does.
Yeah. And
he explained the chart. I'm not very...
Yes, it's here now. I've just posted it as well. Last week I could not post. So one kalpa, which we are just talking right now, is 1,000 yugas. And in 1,000 yugas, we have 14 manus. And each manu reigns for, say, 71.23 Chaturyugas. And if you just divide one Chaturyuga, which is also known as Divya Yuga, Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. So Kali, if you say 1K, this is 2K, this is 3K, and this is 4K. So one Divya Yuga equals to 10K, which is 10 Kali Yugas. So 432 into 10. Very simple calculation. And also we talked about the Sandhya. Sandhyas is when one Yuga is finishing, another Yuga is coming up. So there will be a pre-Sandhya and the post-Sandhya. And I think the numbers I gave as well, and I'll post that in the chat. Okay. You don't have to remember all that for Bhakti Shastri exam, but it's good information. Okay, let's move to the next one.
Oh, our question.
Yes, Rupam Prabhuji.
Oh, that Sandhya concept, for example, in case of Kali Yuga, we have 36,000, 360,000 of Kali Yuga and 36,000, 36,000. So, Prabhu, there will be a stage when we move from Kali Yuga to the Satya Yuga. So, in that Sandhya period, so will the consciousness of those, let's say the last 1,000 years of the 36,000 years, they will, when people will slowly moving towards Satya Yuga type of consciousness from Kali Yuga mentality.
Yes. And let me tell you, and you would have read that in Srimad Bhagavatam, when that Kalki avatar will come, he will kill, as what Bhagavatam says, most of the people. So he will sort of literally finish it off, because all the Kali Yuga people, and that's why Gauranga Prabhu was telling in one lecture, if you, okay, I can even expand that, every jiva is eventually going to go back to Godhead, every jiva. The only question is when. So when we are saying to others and ourselves as well, read Prabhupada books, follow the process, and be a sincere devotee, go back to Godhead soon. Rather than suffering for, say, 1,000 yugas, you suffer only for one lifetime and go back. Huh? And suffering is also in terms of your austerity, which you think like is austerity. Doing Kadashi is austerity, getting up for Mangalarti is austerity. Yes, they are little austerities, but the result is super amazing. You don't have to suffer in the material world. So every jiva will go back. Now, how they will go back? Now, suppose you are doing bhakti process, and maybe in this life or maybe 5, 10 lifetimes, you'll go back to Godhead. But if we don't do that, eventually Kalki will come and slice us up and we'll go back to Godhead. So what path we want to choose? That's the question.
Yes, one more question on that, Prabhu.
I'll just finish that point as well. Bhagavatam also explains not every single jiva towards the end of Kali Yuga will be sinful. There will be bunch of devotees as well who will start the Satyuga. So there will be devotees. There will be very few. They will not be living with normal Kali Yuga people. They might be living in some Himalayas or somewhere exclusively. And then they will start. So there will be some transitory people which are devotees, and they will take care of the starting the next session. So, okay, so that's the transition period which will happen. So killing and redeveloping and all that. So post Sandhya and then the pre Sandhya for Satyuga will start. Okay.
So just like we technically we all should be living 100 years, but due to disease and other things we don't. And Brahmaji also lives for 100 years, but his day as per us is really big. That's millions of years. But for him, it's like a normal day, right? Like just like we live normal, morning till evening and night, and then you sleep. He's also going through that. For him, it's not trillions of years of the time.
It's just a human calculation. You're right. From our perspective, Brahma's life seems like infinite, 311 trillion or something like that. Huh? But from his perspective, as you correctly said, it's a day, it's a night. Like, let me give a little simple example of a cheetah, of an ant, or a machar, mosquito. Huh? For mosquito also, there is a brahmachari ashram. When he is young, he's playing with his mates, and then he gets married to a mosquito, female mosquito. Then he have their grahastha life. They probably get a house on a mortgage. They start paying mortgage for 30 years. They do all these things. They have kids. They think about their kid, which school my kid is going to go, my little baby cute mosquito. And all those things happen, and then they retire. But for you, it might be only one night of Diwali. And next morning, you see thousands of mosquitoes lying dead under a big street light. But for them, it's a whole life cycle. And you must have read in biology, the whole life cycle of mosquito. I read it. I never liked it, but I had to read it. So yes, you're right. Brahmaji, same thing. That's why Prabhupada is saying, even if you want to go to Brahmaloka, you think it's very big. Actually, it's not. When you go to Swargaloka, it says Soma, you go with the Chandraloka, and it's explained in this chapter as well. You live there 10,000 years, but which 10,000 years we are talking?
Yeah.
Like we went to, what do you call, Wet and Wild. I also went. So, you got the top, and some devotees probably from this batch was there, maybe from previous batch. Anyway, you got the top and you come down within seconds, all done, finished. You're in the queue for so long, and then you come down in 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Khatam. Back in the queue. So yes, you're right, Prabhu. This is how Prabhupada sort of was encouraging us to think. There's nothing better. There's nothing better. You and the human birth with Krishna, best. Just do some austerities, relatively little simple austerities, go back to God and finish your business. Okay. It's a very nice way of thinking, Prabhu. Even Brahmaji living a normal life like you and me in a Brahmaloka, which we think, wow, amazing. Nothing is like that. Okay, let's move. 818 is just expansion. Maybe Rupam Prabhu, you can continue this.
So I'll start with the translation. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest. And thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. So, Prabhu, we discussed about the word avyakta, which is unmanifest. And so this is basically for those living entities who are sort of in competition with Krishna, the conditioned souls. So they stay in the unmanifested state, and when that Brahma's day arrives, from unmanifested state they manifest themselves, and pretty much the cycle continues from unmanifest to manifest, and when Brahma's night arrives, they go back to unmanifest stage again. So, or they merge into the unmanifested stage.
Yeah. And just word Prabhavati. So Prabhavati refers to, anyone remembers another verse in Bhagavad Gita, very famous, which uses the same word? Everyone knows that verse. 10.8. Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. Aham Sarvasya. Prabhu refers to creation. So Prabhavati, Ahar Agme. So Ahar, day. When day comes, Agme, Ahar, day comes, Prabhavati. Everyone thinks manifest. Huh? Okay, Ratri Agme Praliyante. Ratri me Praliyante. Everyone understands annihilation. Okay, next, move forward 8:19. We have Rasanand Prabhuji and Vijay Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, 8:19 translation. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entity come into being. With the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. So, yeah, it's a continuation of this series. What happens in this material world? As the Brahma's day comes, the living entity, as Prabhu mentioned, that we start manifesting ourselves, and at the end of the night, we are helplessly destroyed, annihilated.
And the important word in this verse is avashaha, helplessly. I think we discussed about it last time.
Yeah.
Many times some pride people say, Jab maut aayegi dekh lenge. When the death will come, we'll see. Huh? No, the word is used here, helplessly. Whoever goes to hospital or jail, they don't go out of their desire, unless they are politician. They go helplessly. We all go helplessly. We don't like that place, but we go there sometime. Avashaha Partha. So we all get annihilated. Avashaha.
And also Bhutva Prayalanti. Again and again we take repeated birth and annihilate ourselves.
Yeah. So Bhutva is again and again. And Grama refers to, anyone remembers this Grama? Gram in Hindi is called town.
Gram is group.
Aggregate. Thank you. Group. Here, Bhuta group. It's a group of jivas. So don't worry, we are not the only one. There will be a group of people who will be with us, to stay with us in this jail, in the material world. Okay, let's do 8:20. Charu Mataji, I'm not sure whether you were there last time. No, not there. Priya Mataji, Hare Krishna. Mataji, you're on mute, I guess. Priya Mataji, are you speaking? You are on mute.
No, Prabhuji, I was just wondering if you want, if no one is, then I can share. Otherwise, I can later.
Okay, no problem. We'll move forward. Satyabhama Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
8.20. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that past remain as it is. So Prabhuji, in this verse we discussed, you mentioned that Krishna is giving a surety, or he's saying, don't worry, because he's trying to motivate now, and that don't dishearten too much. Krishna, you mentioned Krishna is superior and has spiritual energy, so don't lose your hope. So there is another nature that he talked about, which is Sanatana. You mentioned that word Sanatana, and that in that spiritual world, that doesn't get destroyed, and that is permanent, unlike the material world, which is temporary, and which is beyond the manifest and unmanifested nature.
Yeah. So as you just said, beyond manifest and manifest is Vyaktat and Avyaktat. So Vyakti is person. So Vyakti is manifest, Avyakti is unmanifest. So what this is referring to, the material world, which gets manifested and unmanifested again and again. That one is Para Tasmatu Bhavanyo. So Bhava is nature, Anya is another nature. Para means beyond this, which I've just spoken about in last few verses. Krishna speaking. Yasa Sarveshu Bhuteshu, which Sarveshu Bhuteshu, which we just discussed, say 8:19. Bhutgrama word is used. Huh? These Sarveshu Bhuteshu, not all the Sarveshu Bhuteshu, because the spiritual world also has bhutas, but they are not conditioned bhutas. They are not conditioned living entity. They are the eternally liberated living entities. Yasa Sarveshu Bhuteshu Nasyasyu. Nasyasyu means when they get destroyed, the other world does not get destroyed. So here he starts comparing the material world versus the spiritual world. Now he will give more information in 8:21.
I do it now? Oh.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So in 8:21, now basically Krishna is explaining the supreme abode, the supreme, so first, then basically here you talk about the verse Avyakta. So he's the first quality of this is Avyakta, which is unmanifested to our conditioned nature. Avyakto Shra iti yuktas. So here you mentioned like you have to raise your consciousness to arrive to Krishna's abode. And then you mentioned example here about like, so for example, we have the love that we get from mother, you cannot weigh that cannot be put in some fixed amount or anything. So it is similarly, the spiritual abode is beyond our imagination also. And Krishna's abode is infallible, which is in which is Shara.
Akshara. So Shara is fallible, Akshara is infallible.
Oh, sorry, Akshara is infallible. Tam Ahu Param Gatim. So this is the ultimate destination, the supreme abode, which is the Param Gatim. And then Yam Prapya Nivarantante. So that's mentioned again, which is you won't have to come back again, if you achieve this ultimate destination, Param Gatim. So Yam Parpra Nivarantante, not coming back. And then Tadhama Paramam Mama, and then that abode is his. So here Prabhupada in the purport is explaining the Golok Vrindavan Dham, the desire trees, and so, and the goddess of fortune, the Lord is served by hundreds of thousands of goddess of fortune. So here it's explained, so we get that desire to basically get out of this temporary material world and then go to that higher place.
Thanks, Mataji. So Krishna is a sort of an advertisement campaign. Sorry. So he's advertising. Why is he advertising? When you watch a TV, I'm sure many devotees don't do that, but if you watch, so advertisements do come, right? So what does advertisements do? What's the theory of advertisement? To explain you about something which you're not aware of. That's the theory. If you're aware of, like you don't see advertisements of milk, not much at least, or potato, because this is like a basic necessities. You will go to the Coles or Woolworths, they are put at the very, very back. But all the biscuits and chocolates, all these unnecessary things, they put the front. Why? Because the psychology will is, when you're passing through the chocolate aisle, you see, oh, this chocolate is on sale. Just $2.50. Why don't I buy it? This chips is half price, whatever it is. And then you're going to buy a milk, which is at the very back. So you don't advertise for something which you know. Now, the conditioned jiva, most of us, we don't know about the spiritual world. So Krishna is giving some indications, some hints to the material world jivas that please, this world is not a place for a gentleman or gentle lady. You come back here because yam prapya na nivartante tadham paramam mama. And also the important word here is mama. That's my dham. So who is speaking this verse? Krishna is standing in front of Arjuna. Is saying that actually is my dham. Openly. Openly, it's not like being shy or something. Openly, that's my dham. And if you go there, never come back. So giving advertisement to the conditioned jiva. This is actually given by Sanatan Goswami in the commentary of 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Krishna is doing advertisement campaign. He writes that in the commentary of Damodar Ashtak. Very nice. Krishna is on advertisement campaign. Very nice. He's giving some hints of that beautiful place. 822, where I was, this Zoom keeps moving people. Manmohan Prabhu, maybe you can do it.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. 822. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated within him. So in this verse, is the Supreme Personality of God, Supreme Personality, Purusha Sa Para Partha, and who is greater than all. So he's his position has already been established in the previous verses, and so he's the Supreme Lord. And in this verse, I think the main thing.
Just add that, Hare Krishna, this one. So his position is established, but he's re-established in this verse by the word Paraha. Paraha means he's beyond. Yeah. So he's using a very Purusha Sa. Sa refers to that. Wo Purush, that Purush is Paraha Partha. So the first line is very beautiful actually. That Purush is transcendental and is the supreme. Yes, please.
Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotional service, Ananya Bhakti. So he can be achieved by only Bhakti. So that Bhaktaya word is very important in this, by devotional service. Labhaya can be achieved. Then, and Ananya unalloyed. So in the second line, he's saying that he lives in his abode, which is Goloka Vrindavan, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the description is there in Brahma Samhita. Brahmaji is nicely describing in some verses. And in the last verse, last line you said, Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam. So he's all-pervading, and you gave the example of the Mahavishnu. So you said that all the universes come out of the body of the Mahavishnu. That means everything is coming from him, and then everything is situated within him. So that is where it is, you gave the example of Mahavishnu, and then he is all-pervading is the Shirodakshaya Vishnu, where he is present in each and every small atom as a Paramatma, and in every jiva, not jiva, every living body. So that's why he's everything is situated within him, and everything, he's also pervading in everything as well. So that is how it is explained. I'm just trying to see if there was any other word which I think there was an analogy where the Supreme Abode in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad describes the Supreme Abode and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his millions of plenary expansions are explained there. And analogy is Vedas compare the Lord with a tree bearing many flowers, fruits, leaves, etc. Similarly, the Lord expands into many plenary expansions. Again, the reference is from Brahma Samhita 5.37 Goloka Eva. So that is Prabhu. I think I may have missed something, but
yeah. Oh, thank you. So the two expansions of Lord Yassa Anta Sthani Bhutani. So all the bhutas are within him. As Prabhuji said, Mahavishnu example, Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam, and he is expanded into everything. And he gave the example of Shirodakshaya Vishnu, which is correct. Now we have to remember this analogy will be used at multiple places. How is within everything? everything is within him and he is also within everything. So we can understand that. That is explained by Chaitanya Prabhu. So if you remember this Mahavishnu and Super Soul example, we can understand these analogies very well. Although they both are same, but we're talking about particular manifestation for our understanding. Okay, let's move forward. A few verses. 823. Now 823, whoever does that, please give me a context. Sorry if I miss you because this Zoom keeps moving the people. So I just pick the next one, which I see. I didn't mean to ignore anyone here. Tanya Mataji, you were there last week. I'm not sure.
Yes, I was there.
Okay.
And I didn't take notes, but I'm going to try
Please.
explaining this
Please,
verse.
I'm trying.
O best of Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. So I think the important messaging over here is Kal and time. And this verse talks about how all the devotees that are spiritually elevated and are spiritually rendered, they don't care about the time at which they leave their body. And as we know, when they leave it is an auspicious time. So they leave everything in Krishna's hands and they don't care about it. But the ones who are actually unalloyed devotees, they are the ones that worry about when they're going to leave. And it can be a hit or a miss because they could either leave at an auspicious time, but they could also just not. So, so there are, it just talks about the suitable times. But yeah, please add, Prabhuji, because I didn't take
No problem. We'll just take some words, Mataji, and you can help me. Yatra kale. So that kal, that time, tu refers to but. Anavrittim. So anavrittim means not coming back. And avrittim means coming back. Chaiva yogina. So those yogis or those people who leave the body in some kal, in some time, where they will come back, and some kal they will not come back. Prayata yanti tam kalam vakshami bhartashava. So Krishna is basically introducing his own section. He's saying, I will tell you those kal, those times where some will come back and some will not come back. So in this particular verse, he has not mentioned anything actually. Nothing he has mentioned. All he is saying, I'm going to tell you about those people who will leave at that particular time and they will come back, and another time they will not come back. So it's just like an introductory part. 823 is an introductory to this whole section, which is the last section. Thank you, Tanya Mataji. We'll just move to the 24th. Now, this is the first verse in this section, you can say, after the introduction. Not sure if Bhakti Vijaya Mataji is there. Okay, not sure. Divya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sorry, I missed these last few verses last week.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry.
That's okay. Jai Prakash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the translation by Srila Prabhupada. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of a fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. So this is just in continuation with the previous verse where Lord is explaining like how some of these advanced mystics or yogis, they can choose the actual time when they want to quit this body. So some of the auspicious timings have been mentioned, like one is Uttarayana, like which I think is from Sankranti for the next 6 months where the sun travels north, or the fortnight of the waxing moon, like Ekadashi. Or so during this time, if one quits the body in the daytime, they will never return back to the material world. As so, although it has been mentioned like Gnanis and Ashtanga yogis, they have some of the advanced ones. They can plan everything in terms of when they want to quit the body, so that they don't want to return back to this material world. But I think in the previous verse also it's explained, for the devotees, usually they are not too concerned because they'll be always trying to please the Krishna by doing the devotional service. So they are like Krishna will take care of even if they quit at any time. So they have that faith in the Lord that he will take care.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. I'll just like to just repeat some words. So Agnihi. So Agni refers to fiery god. Jyoti. Jyoti means some sort of light should be present. And Prabhupada also explains it can be the presence of some demigods. Aha is daytime, and Shatabhasa, as Prabhuji explained, is the Uttarayan time. So there are 4 things mentioned in the verse, and which Prabhu explained. Tatta Prayata Gachanti, and where do they go? Brahman. So they go in Brahman. And Prabhupada writes, those who know the Supreme Brahman attain the Supreme by passing away from these situations. So this yogi is particularly mentioning about the yogis who live in these four situations, and where do they end up in? Brahman. Matri Mataji, Priya Mataji. Oh, I see 3 hands here. Any questions? Matri Mataji?
Prabhu, here the question was from the previous verse 1 actually. So Krishna explains, right, like who comes back and who does not. So it is about yogis, not actually pure devotees, because
No. So we have not reached as yet. Now I know devotees are explaining that, but as per verse, we have not reached as yet. Krishna will explain, and that's what we'll discuss today from verse 26.
So this, whatever he is explaining, this does not relate to a devotee, but he is talking about a yogi.
Yes. So this particular 824 is a verse for yogi. And if he lives in those particular 4 circumstances, where does he end up being? Which is in Brahman. Okay. And then we'll explain about Karma Yogi in the next one. This is the Jnana Yogi. 25 is Karma Yogi. And 26, 27 is, or 27, 28 is for the Bhaktas, which we will discuss today.
Yeah.
So
Thank
the
you.
question is valid, but we have not discussed as yet.
Yes.
Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I was wondering when this is a little maybe a little off, or somehow maybe related. So in regards to one's departure, I'm just wondering if like Ajamil was an example that he did. He was a Brahmana, but then he fell down, and then he did some, he fell down and did some anathas and some, so when we also in that sort of situation where we are trying to do some devotional service, but at the same time we do some anarthas, or because of our conditioning we are in that state of mind that we knowingly, unknowingly, whatever, do that. So, and then in that state we that happens, and then when we reach the time that we have to leave this body, we do remember Krishna at that time, but we have those anathas there also, which we have accumulated, but we have done devotional service, but we have obviously but then we remember Krishna also. We are remembering constantly Krishna at that point of time when we are trying to at the last time of our last moment of our life. So do we then are eligible for attaining the Supreme Abode?
Yeah, okay, very nice question. So if I understood the question correctly, so our life is mixed, sometimes devotional life, sometimes conditioned life. All of us live through that sort of lifestyle, mostly, if not all the time. So Mataji's question is, if in this situation we leave the body while devotee were chanting the holy name, for example, we happen to be there, do we go back to Godhead or we continue our existence? So I'll give you a technical answer and a practical answer. So technical answer is, unless you're fully qualified to go back to Godhead, like 100% pure, you're not eligible for an entry. You have not accumulated enough devotional credits to make an entry in Goloka. And I'm sure everyone would have seen that Amog Leela Prabhu's video where a person arrived at the gate of Goloka, Vrindavan, and the Chowkidar says, "What are you doing here?" Me? I want an entry in Goloka. Why do you want entry in Goloka? I've done 16 rounds. Vishnudutas, can you show him the video of his own chanting? He himself will get, shameful if he sees his own video, how you chanted 16 rounds. You remember that video? Some of you, I'm sure, If not, can you please forward to the group? Anyway, I'll just say very quickly, Amog Leela Prabhu is Amog Leela Prabhu. But anyway, so what else you have done? So he said, do I get any marks? So the Chowkidar says, you need 100 marks to go inside. Do I get any marks? He said, you should not get any, but I'll give you 2 marks. Okay, how do you get 98 marks? Okay, I've done Ekadashi. Oh, Ekadashi. On the Ekadashi days, you have eaten more than the normal days, huh? Kuto ke atta ki pakodi, chutney, gajar ka halwa, paneer sabji, paneer masala, and whatnot. Okay, that was Ekadashi. Okay, you should not get any marks. I'll give you 2 marks for that. Okay, 4 marks he got. So what else? I went for Mangala Aarti. Oh, sometimes on Mangalvar you went to Mangala Aarti. On Tuesdays he went to Mangala Aarti. Huh? You should not get any marks. Anyway, finally he gets 10 marks out of everything. And he says, I've done some Bhakti Shastri. He said, yeah, where are your notes? In the terms of notes, you only have Nakashi, not notes. Anyway, all these things happen. I don't want to take too much time in this class. And finally he gets 10 marks. He said, so how do you get your 90 marks? He said, oh, Prabhupada, Gurudev, please help me. And then Jai Vijay says, oh, you remembered Prabhupada and your Guru Maharaj, I'll allow you the entry. My Guru Maharaj said in one of the classes, the entry criteria in Golok Vrindavan is Prema Bhakti. Yeah? You should have love of Godhead in your heart, which you have not achieved, as Priya Mataji was explaining, which we have not achieved. But my Guru Maharaj said very nicely in a hubris when he said, you have not achieved it, so you cannot enter, right? But it can be given on the door. Love of Godhead can be given on the door. Suppose you want an entry in a opera house or somewhere, I don't know, you need $100. You don't have $100, right? You arrive there with like $10 in your pocket and you say, I want entry in opera. I want entry in opera. And the ticket seller will say, Arey, you only have $10. You need at least $100. And then you'll say, okay, I don't have $100. And then your father comes there, your brother comes there, huh? And he says, Mataji, here is the $90. Can you make an entry then? Yes or no? Yes? Because your brother or father or loved ones gave you that $90. This is our Prabhupada or Guru Maharaj, huh? Who will give us those $90, which we don't have, we don't deserve. They can give you. But it doesn't mean they will always come and give you $90. They may still want you to get more purification. Krishna may still want this, like your heart is just not good enough to make an entry. And why not? Because if you go there, in Hindi there's a saying, ek machli pure talab ko ganda kar deti hai. So if we uncontaminated heart, we not contaminated heart, if we make an entry, do you think it will be good for us or good for them? No. Chaitanya Prabhu says one very nice example, beautiful. I love that. He said, sometimes people say that this devotee group has problem, these devotees have this problem, and that temple has problem, and problem. So Chaitanya Prabhu very nicely said, imagine if they didn't have problem, they were all pure devotees, right? Only pure devotees won't have any problem. Mixed devotees or non-devotees will always have problem. So if they have problem, that shows they are non-devotees, right? So Prabhu says, if they were devotees, they will not be here. They will be there, right? Because they are here, that means they are non-devotees. Huh? Now, in terms of, because they are non-devotees and, you are seeing the problem, that's fine. But imagine they were devotees and here opened a temple. Will they allow you to enter into the temple? Are you a devotee? Are you a 100% devotee? Because they will not allow you in their Sangha. They're 100% pure devotees. Huh? You go to Glenfield, for example, just an example, or North Sydney. There is a group of devotees who are 100% pure devotees. Will they allow you to make an entry? They will not allow me. Why? Because I'm fully contaminated. So they're both ways. We are seeing faults of others and we are ignoring our faults. So we should see both ways. We are with faults and they are also with fault. Sripala Prabhu said, you go in a hospital, you're lying in a bed, and you have cancer or whatever, and then in the hospital you point out to everyone else, hey, he's sick, and she's also sick, and someone will say, bhai sahab, what are you doing here? Me sick? I didn't realize that. So we point out to every single one, you're non-devotee, you're disqualified, you're unqualified. What about us? So Priya Mataji, and long answer short, it can be given on the door, and that is called some mercy, unconditional mercy of the Lord, which we may achieve. But Prabhupada says we should not wait for that mercy, we should work hard. Radhanath Maharaj says, even if you have desire to go back to Godhead, you cannot go back to Godhead. That's Radhanath Maharaj speaking. So what we speak of other anarthas, even if you have desired to go back to Godhead, you cannot go back to Godhead. So technically, the answer is no. But what will happen at the door? How about Guru Maharaj or Prabhupada will give us mercy in which way? That may happen. It's called Kripa Siddhi, which Putana achieved. We may also achieve. We are not as bad as Putana. We offer Krishna some love we have, we not too much love, but some love we have. But are we going to get Putana sort of mercy and we just wait and do all the Putana activities? No, that's not the recommendation of our Acharya. Our Acharya, you do your bhakti as best as possible. It may be lower than the other person which you see in the temple. That's fine. He may have a different capacity of performing his bhakti. You may have a different level. Your conditions around you, your body may be different. That's fine. But you do your best. If you do your best, your Guru Maharaj will take you. Does that answer in a nutshell?
Yes, Prabhuji. So if we say doing our best, but then obviously we need that purification still. So do we then come
your
back?
Guru Maharaj will fill up the gap. So even after doing your best, suppose you only achieved 40 marks, for example, your Guru, but that's your best you could do in your current circumstances with your family, with your mind, and blah blah blah. 60% will be done by your Guru Maharaj. But if your capacity is 40%, you're only performing 4%. Your Guru Maharaj will say, Hare Krishna, you watched too many, India-Pakistan matches. Maybe you should stay for some more time. And next live, I'll watch you. Are you still watching? Huh? Are you still inclined too much? Huh? So something like that. Is that okay?
Okay, so we can then, if we get that mercy, otherwise we'll get sent back.
We are getting mercy. We will get mercy, but we just have to prove we are trying as well. We have to prove. We cannot be just lazy, sleeping 14 hours, blaspheming all the devotees and doing all the nonsense and say, you know what, I have taken initiation. And Krishna will say, turn around. You turn, go back. This initiation sort of beats will not help, to be very honest. Keshav Maharaj said, these beats, your chanting beats, are not going to go back to Godhead. It's you're going to go back to Godhead. Beats will not go back to Godhead. So how are you chanting? How are you changing your consciousness? That is important. Not the beats. Oh, this is my initiation beats. This is my initiation. That's nice. What are you doing with your initiation beats? How are you changing? The change is the key. If you're not changing, if I'm not changing, I can speak a lot. Actually, it doesn't make much sense. It's towards the right direction. It's very slow journey. I have to change my consciousness to go back to Godhead. If that's not happening, everything else is very outside, very, very external. I may take a danda. My Guru Maharaj said, even sannyasi's danda, sannyasi's dress is only for material people. It's only for material people. Your dress will not take you back to Godhead. Your saffron or your white or your danda will not take you back to Godhead. It is your consciousness. You can be a grahastha. You can be a pauper. You can be a wealthiest man. You can be very ugly looking, very, very intelligent. It doesn't matter. It's all periphery. It's very external. It's only for others. What are we thinking in our heart? How much love we have for Krishna? That is the key to go back to Godhead. If that's not happening, sorry, the answer is no. And we'll have to come back and generate that. And in the birth we have it, Guru Maharaj will fill up the gaps. That is of sure. That is of sure. He's very, very kind. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have 3 more questions. Prasanna Prabhu.
Just had a doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, just had a doubt here. In the verse 24, you said this Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Yogis, they will go to Brahma Jyoti, right? Like, that's what you told here.
I only said Jnana Yogi.
Jnana Yogi or Jnana Mishra Yogi?
No, Jnana Yogis. So Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, we talked about earlier, where the Bhakti component is there, but Jnana is predominant. We talked about that earlier, that's fine. But in this verse, in general, we are talking Jnana Yogis. Jnana Yogis.
Okay, this is not for Yoga Mishra Bhaktas, this verses.
So, Prabhu, that's a different topic. So, for any perfection, you need to have some bhakti, right?
Okay.
For achieving perfection in any marg, even it's Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, obviously. So we need that part. But what this verse is talking about in particular, a Jnana Yogi will end up being in Brahman if he leaves his body in these 4 circumstances.
Okay, so it's talking only of the Jnana Yogis. That Yoga Mishra Yogis, they are not talking about in any of the verses here. It's only Jnana.
We just talking only 3 categories: Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, and Bhakti Yogi in this section.
Okay, bro. Then I don't have the doubt. Okay. Fine, bro. Yeah. Okay.
It's simple. So 24 talks about Jnana Yogi, 25 talks about Karma Yogi, and 27, 28 talks about Bhakti Yogi.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Jai Prakash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just on the similar thing. So, if we take the example of Bhishma Pitama, even though he is the Mahajan, he is the greatest devotee, right? But he waited till Uttarayana comes on the arrow of deathbed, just to quit his body on the auspicious time. Although this understand, like for him, he is already a Mahajan.
Yes.
Do you see? Is it like it's even better if a devotee leaves during this Uttarayana time? Is that
no? So basically, Bhishma Pitama, just two questions actually you are thinking is one, actually it's two questions. So Bhishma Pitama was not the Mahajan till the time he was lying on the bed of arrows. He became Mahajan. He was given the title of Mahajan after he spoke with Yudhishthira and he glorified Krishna. That's one thing. So he was not like Mahajan from the birth or something like that. He became Mahajan. Bali Maharaj was not a Mahajan before he surrendered to Krishna. He became Mahajan after he surrendered to Krishna. So we have to understand these positions are not like eternally when they take birth, they are Mahajan. Nothing like that. But by the act they perform, the service they perform, the surrenders they represent for Krishna, that makes them Mahajan. That's one part. Now, why Bhishma Pitama waited for Uttarayan? Prabhu, so Bhagavatam explains that very clearly. So he was just demonstrating himself as a very normal human being. But the internal meaning is actually he was waiting for Krishna, not for the Uttarayan. So as a devotee, he was waiting when my dear Krishna will come and I will quit my body. So that's the internal meaning. Bhagavatam explains that very clearly. It's not the Uttarayan. But externally, many devotees present many things on an external level, so humans can take some lesson from that. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Sundar Gopal Prabhu or Satyava Mataji rather.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I just had a comment and my Prabhu had the question. But I wanted to add on to the comment on this, that even though we try our mercy, like we were referring to the Priya Mataji's question as well, that we might, Guru will help us always, but we always have to give our 100% as well. We have to show to Krishna that we are trying our best and, doing our bhakti. Just like in the material world, we think that, everybody wants to win a lottery. It's good to have lottery, but it's not possible that we will win a lottery. We all have to do our hard work and we all have to show that we are trying our best. And when the lottery is, if there is a lottery, it's a good chance. It's good to have, but we cannot rely on that. So I think we should give our 100% and do our bhakti and, try to please Krishna, try to please our spiritual master, Guru. And then when the Guru's mercy will come, in our own capacity, we don't have even though that capacity to please Krishna. But then when Krishna see and when spiritual masters see that, we are giving our 100%, then the mercy will come. But we should not only totally dependent on the mercy of Guru, that, we don't do anything and then the mercy will flow. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice example. I'm just remembering one more thing, just in the same aspect. If suppose the dad is the principal of a school and the boy goes to the same school, and the boy says, my dad is a principal, I don't need to study. Yes, dad is a principal. He may have a right to make him pass, but why would dad pass him? Boy needs to study. It's for his own development. So maybe dad will say, no, I will keep you in the year 2 because you're not studying, you're not doing your homework. It's for your own benefit. So Krishna may not take us out just because, we are not doing our homework. If we do our homework sincerely, and then there's a gap in passing marks, another 2 marks, and Papa will say, actually, my boy worked really hard. I know that. He was just sick last day. Okay, I'll add another 2 marks to make him pass. So it's like that. We have to do our homework. And then Papa, Krishna, Guru Maharaj, they will help.
And Prabhu, we feel that, even the more we serve, then that much love will come automatically. We have to develop that love. We have to do that serve, because the more we serve, the more service we do, the more love will come. If we don't do any service or anything, then that love will not flow, and that feeling for Krishna and that love for Krishna will not come. And it's not fair for the person who has been for the sannyasis and for all the Maharaj who has been doing all of the bhaktis and everything their whole life, and then they attain Krishna and that love for Krishna. I think it comes, the more you do, the same amount of love and reciprocation you get it from Krishna as well.
True, true. Very nice. Nice example of lottery.
Yes.
Okay, Ujjwala Samataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, just a quick question. It's in the verse 23. I'm a little confused because I'm referring to the, like you said, this is an intro to the yogis, which yogi will come back or which will not, who will not come back. So here it mentions, I'll just read that the different methods of spiritual realization as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga, they must leave the body at a suitable time in order to be sure of whether or not they will return to the world of birth and death. Now we know that Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, and Hatha Yogi, they cannot go back really to the spiritual world like the Vaikuntha planets or to the Goloka. So Karma Yogis, we know they go to the higher planets. The Jnana Yogi and Hatha Yogi, they attain Brahman, but even from that, they have to come down to the material world. So I'm a little confused because here it says that if the yogi is perfect, he can select the time and situation for leaving this material world. If they do that, then does it mean that they will not return to the world of birth and death?
No, Mataji, you just don't take it like in an expanded way, which you just explained, which is correct. Just Prabhupada is just writing in a very normalized way. So Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga must leave the body at a suitable time in order to make sure they will or they will not return back to the material world. But it does not say Karma Yogis will directly go to Brahman or Karma Yogi will never come back. They will go to nothing like that. So we know Karma Yogis will go to the heavenly world and they will stay there for some time. Krishna will explain in 825. And Jnana Yogis will go to the Brahman. They will live there for a long time. But for the matters explanation, we say Jnana Yogis will not come back to the material world. It doesn't mean they will achieve the spiritual world. And then the expansion of that knowledge which Prabhupada gave us, Jnana Yogis eventually will also come back in the material world. But they will live in Brahman, say, for very, very long time, which may seem to us infinite time.
Yeah, Prabhu. But you know how it says the suitable times at which one passes away and does not come back are explained in the next verse. But in this next verse also, it is talking about the Supreme Brahman, where the yogi attains the Supreme Brahman. Yes. But even from here, they fall down eventually after a long, long time.
So that's what I'm saying. This is the expanded version, which we know, told by Prabhupada. But if you talk in the normal language, they achieve Brahman and they stay there. So I'm not sure what's the confusion. So there's three things. There's a material world, there's a Brahman, and there's a supreme Goloka. So if you go out of the material world, it's still Brahman is also transcendental. It's been explained. It's not out of transcendental. It's transcendental. It's not material world. It's out of material world. So yes, they go back out of the material world from the cycle of birth and death for that time being. And once they are in Brahman, they live there, as explained by Prabhupada, long time. And eventually they come back, but they never enter into Goloka. Because once you enter into Goloka, tadham na yadgatva na nivartante, tadham paramam.
Okay, yeah. In that manner, I can understand.
You can have three levels, Mataji.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Sundar Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think I was going to ask the question, but I think we are already over time today.
Is it a quick one?
It may be a quick one, Prabhu. It's a bit of a confusion, but it is in 8:18 actually.
Okay. Can I take it later then, Prabhuji?
Yes.
I can take it offline. That's no problem.
8:18 and 8:19. I have two questions.
Yes, we can take, Prabhu. No problem. Where we were 24. I think we did it. So last verse. Who is the last verse? Who want to do that? I will not name anyone. I think I've named enough. Jai Prakash Prabhu, would you like to do?
Which one, Prabhu? 25?
Yes.
The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes from the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. So here again, it has been mentioned just like in the previous slokas we were discussing, if a person, even Brahma, he needs to come back after he finishes his daytime. So in this, the mystics who has the capability to time it and leave this material world at appropriate time, like as it has been explained, it is during the night time or the fortnight of the waning moon. And it just contrasts to the previous one where we said Uttarayana. This is the, I think it's a Dakshinayana, where the sun is passing towards north. So if he quits during that time, Lord Krishna is saying they will reach the moon planet, but after some time they have to come back again. So they will be enjoying the life there for some time, drinking somarasa and stuff like that, but eventually they need to still fall back. So this is not permanent, but at least it's an higher plane than the material world.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Just one request to all the devotees here. Whenever we start doing the revision, my expectation is we read Prabhupada translation, so at least we get the full thing, what Prabhupada is saying. And then we can explain the word-to-word translation. And then we do our expansion. So there are 3 steps. First is Prabhupada translation. Second is word-to-word translation as much as possible. If we don't know, that's perfectly fine. So that's how we are learning these words. And you can read, refer to Prabhupada's synonyms, that's perfectly fine. And then we expand on the verse. That's sort of a series we can follow. That's the best way of learning. And in the explanation, if we could give a context to the verse or the topic which Prabhupada is explaining, and then go into the expansion. So that way, we are learning the perfect way. If we start explaining the verse from the very beginning, we miss out on these words, which I emphasize because it makes Bhagavad Gita very sweet for us if we know a little bit. And Prabhupada has worked really, really hard to give word-to-word translation so that we can read what Krishna is saying, and then we can relate to Prabhupada's translation. And obviously, then there's a purport. Okay, so all good, but maybe next time we can follow that series. Okay, let's move to our today's discussion. Sorry, we took long.
Prabhu, sorry.
Yes.
Why doesn't Krishna is always talking about either the higher planetary system or Brahmaloka? Why doesn't he talk about the lower planetary system?
It has been taught, say in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, it talks about it. So Bhagavad Gita is a summary Vedic literature. And we know, all of us, whoever is reading Bhagavad Gita, at least wider audience, I can say, want to go higher. Like all of us sitting here, if we had given opportunity to visit Swargloka, how many of you will go? Be honest. What's Swargloka? Even if you get a free New York ticket, chalega. You know, be honest. Honolulu or somewhere in Europe, free ticket. Manmohan Prabhu, chalenge? Mataji is ready? Why not? You know, a free Lexus, chalega. Why not? Be honest. So if we want to degrade our house or degrade our car or degrade our job profile, none of us want to do that. Huh? So generally speaking, wider audience of Bhagavad Gita is trying to go up, which is very fair, whoever is reading it. And Bhagavad Gita summary book, Krishna has spoken about the lower. Expansion is given in Bhagavatam and other Puranas. For example, Garud Puran, you're probably aware of it. Lot of expansions are given. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Let's read 826. So 826 is sort of, again, 823 was an introductory verse. 826 is sort of conclusory thing for this section. So we spoke about Jnana Yogi and Karma Yogi. And Manmohan Prabhu, maybe you can do the 826.
Thank you, Prabhu. Shukla Krishna gati hete.
Shukla Krishna gati hete.
Jagata shashvate mate.
Jagata shashvate mate.
Ekaya yatya anvrittim.
Ekaya yati anavrittim.
Anyaya vartate punaha.
Anyaya vartate punaha.
Translation. According to Vedic opinion, there are 2 ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, yes, you can see when passes in light, which verse we are talking here? 24. Huh? Agni Jyoti Aha Shuklaha. So, we're talking about Aha, daytime, Jyoti, Agni. So, when passes in day, does not come back, explained there. When he passes in darkness, which verse we are talking?
25.
Dhomo Ratir Sataha. So when passing in darkness, he returns. So sort of concludes this section here for Jnana and Karma Yogis. Now let's start. Now, which Baladev Vidyabhushan, he raises this question on behalf of Arjuna. Arjuna is confused. Oh my God, I have to, define my departure time. How can I do that? Because I don't have much control over it. So Krishna says, hang on a second. Let me explain you about the devotees. So this is a section for devotees 27 and 28. 28 is very, very really worth reading verse. Let's read 27, which gives some encouragement to Arjuna. Charu Mataji, would you like to do that?
Prabhu, yes, please bear with me. Um, 827. Naite Stri Partha Jnana Yog Yogi Muhyate Paschana
Yogi Muhyati Kashana
Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna.
Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna.
Translation: although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjun, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
So, na ete shriti partha. So, shriti refers to different paths. So, Krishna has discussed two paths as as yet. So, one path which sort of brings you back, one path does not bring you back. So, na ete shriti partha. But hey, path, you don't have to worry about them. Huh? So, jnana refers to you knowing, basically. Janna. Na ete sriti partha yogi muhyati karshan, and you should not get bewildered. So na will refer to muhyati. Na muhyati. You should not get bewildered, because at the moment Arjun is sort of little discouraged. How I'm going to control all that? So what you have to do, like Krishna is telling to Arjuna, tasma, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu. Anyone else remember the similar words used in another verse?
Smat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmaran Yudhyacha.
Thank you, Mataji. We discussed that. That was earlier in the same chapter. So, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. What you should do here, Mam Anusmar Yudhyacha, in the previous verse he said, and here's Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna. So, Bhava refers to be, Yukto well situated in what? Yoga. So, Prabhupada translates this as Bhakti Yoga. So, what you should be doing, not worry about these different paths and different times and different destinations. What you should worry about, one thing only, Sarveshu Kaleshu. What you should do, Sarveshu Kaleshu? Yoga, connected with Krishna. So again, similar verse which we looked at, Ananya Cheta Sattamo, Mam Ismati Nityachaha, 8:14. So Satataha, Nitya Yuktaha. So this word Krishna is repeating again and again. So what is our duty? We should be connected with Krishna all the time. And when you're connected with Krishna, what will happen? That is explained in the last verse of this chapter. Who can sing this verse? I want some singers, not readers. Sorry. Bhakti Vijaya Mataji. She is also a singer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
It's a different meter, Mataji. I'm sure you know.
Yeah. 828.
Yes.
Okay. Vedeshu yadmeshu tapassu chaiva.
Vedeshu yadmeshu tapassu chaiva.
Daneshu yat punyapalam pradishtam.
Daneshu yat punyapalam pradishtam.
Atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva.
Atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva.
Yogi param sthanamupeti chadyam.
Yogi param sthanamupeti chadyam.
Translation: the person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charities, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode.
Thank you, Mataji. Like when you sing the verse, it has a different meaning. It's a very beautiful verse. And this verse is for devotees. So as Krishna has explained two paths, now he's explaining the third path, which is valid for Arjuna. Now, in Vedic culture, we all know, I'm talking Vedic culture, not in a modern culture. three things are very popular: Yagya, Dan, and Tapa. So the three words used here are Yagyeshu, Tapasu, and Daneshu. Yagya, Dan, Tapa, Kriya, Pavanani, Manishna. 18.5. Krishna will explain these three karmas, Yagya, Dan, and Tapa. Pavanani, Manishna. Pavanani refers to purify. Manishna means very high. People who can control their mind are also performing. What are they performing? Yagya, Tapa, and Dana. Outside that, again, in Vedic culture, one thing is very popular of Vedeshu. Vedeshu refers to the study of Vedic literature. Brahmins will always be reading Vedic literature. And they will be doing so much of Yagya, Tapa, and Dana. And what the target was in a sort of, again, not a devotional mean, in a Vedic culture mean, Yatte Purne Phalam Pratishtam. So you'll receive some punya. Now, if you see a major difference between a model society and a Vedic society, in Vedic society, everything was based, I'm not talking devotion here, just a normal Vedic culture, which leads to heavenly planets. And because 75% in our Vedic literature is about Karma Kanda. And when you talk about Karma Kanda, going to higher planetary system, attaining punya, and the lessening papa, that was the culture, which is very nice. Chaitanya Prabhu was explaining in the past, in India, we are talking at least, recent past India, we had this concept of karma. And because people had this concept of karma, if I do bad, I'll get bad result. The number of jails in India is significantly less than if you compare India versus, say, America or Europe somewhere. The number of jails there are so much, just because in India, even today, we have this concept of karma. People are fearful. People are fearful. And now, when the concept of this karma is sort of coming out of the society, the criminal activities are increasing. Now, forget the devotional part, just a practical, a significant violence less or criminal less society, just because of this Vedic concept was so popular. There are so many temples, there are so many nice vibes you can hear on the road. Even if you're from other religions, you have to walk on the road and you'll hear all this Vedic mantras getting chanted. So this significantly reduced the criminal activity in society. And people were knowingly or unknowingly were performing. And who were performing knowingly this Veda, Yagya, Dan, and Tapa, the target was to achieve Swaraloka, but that's fine. They will achieve some sort of punya. And whenever something goes wrong in their life, you know what they will do? I'll give an example from Srimad Bhagavatam. When Putana came to Braja, and Bakasur and Hinkasur and all that as well. So the first thing Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya thinks about, maybe my punya account is low, so I should increase my punya. Now, they are devotees, we're not talking, but the first thing which goes in their mind, so they were not doing like karmic adjustment. When the problem comes these days, what do? How can I get a better job, get better money? How can I fake other people that I'm great? This and that. It goes on in the society. Some people increase their hair style or increase their clothing, increase their car. They hire everything and they show themselves as a big sadhu, big sannyasi. And you see in some Hindi movies, you know, they're all fake. All their chelas are fake. The sadhu is fake. And after the drama is over, you know, he sits and drinks alcohol or something like that. So these three activities in the Vedic culture were very important so that they can achieve punya. And whenever they had problem, they will do these activities more to increase their punya account and reduce the papa account. They will give more charity. They will do more austerities. If you remember, many Indian ladies, at least till 70s or 80s, you know, they will be doing a lot of fasting. As soon as there's a problem in the family, they'll start fasting on Santoshi Mata ka Vrat, Durga Mata ka Vrat, and this and that. You know, they will do that. Why? They had this belief: if I do some austerity, some sacrifice, my children will flourish, my house will flourish. It will have a beneficial impact. Nowadays, what do? They hire some fake things. So still the society was pious. Why? Because these 3 to 4 activities were very, very popular, leading towards punya. Now, Arjun's question or discouragement here is, I am not doing all this so much. So what will happen to me? So Krishna is sort of doing a comparison between a typical traditional Vedic culture versus devotional culture. So first line, it talks about the Vedic culture. 4 activities described. Vedeshu means Swadhyay, Adhyan, study of Vedic literature. Second thing, Yagya, doing Yagya. Agnihotris were doing Yagyas, Brahmanas were doing Yagya. All the time they were doing Tapaha. Their life were very, very austere. We spoke about few tapasvis in the ashram of Vasishtha Muni. Daneshu, they will give Dan. When Krishna appeared, Vasudev ji took a mental vow of donating, I think, 1 million cows or something like that. 1 million cows in his mind, he donated. Nanda Maharaj donated thousands of cows. Dan. Yat punya phalam prayasam. They give some punya, and that punya will benefit me, my family. And that was nice. Atyeti. The word atyeti. Atyeti means even higher than that. So whatever punya you will achieve by doing yagya, tapa, dan, Vedic adhyan, atyeti, you will get even higher than that. How? Tat sarvam idam viditva. So this is being explained and established. You will do higher. How you will do higher? Yogi, if you become yogi. And what sort of yogi Krishna is talking about? Anyone can relate to this word with the previous chapter verse? What sort of yogi Krishna recommends? 647. Everyone has sort of crammed that verse for the exam.
Yogi Nama
Yogi Nama Sarvesham Bad Gatain Antaratmana Shraddhavan Bhajte Yoma Samay Yuktatamam Mata. So Krishna is saying, become a yogi. If you become a yogi, then you will attain even higher punya. Now, this is not talking about material punya, we're talking devotional credits here. Whatever you will achieve by these 4 activities, even higher than that, if you become a yogi. And what yogi? Krishna is saying, a devotee who's constantly connected with Krishna. And what will be the end result? Param Sthanam Upayati. You will attain what? Param Sthanam. The supreme destination you will attain. So you understand? So this verse is a great assurance by Krishna given to the devotees. You don't have to worry about which place you will leave your body, which time you will leave your body, Uttarayan, Dakshinayan, day, night, fiery God present is not present, whether you have studied the Vedas, whether you have done all the tapasyas recommended in the Vedas, nothing you have to worry. What you have to worry, tasma sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaritecha. So you have to be situated in your situation, whatever life has given you, and do your prescribed duties by anusmar of Krishna. Becoming a yogi. What sort of? Satatam yogi, constant yogi, in day yogi, nighttime yogi, Monday yogi, Sunday yogi, Saturday yogi, Brahmurat yogi, and nighttime 9 o'clock also yogi. So every time a person, a devotee is connected with Krishna, and then he doesn't have to separately worry about studying the Vedas. Now, we are also reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but what sort of knowledge we are gaining? Not a normal Jnani Yogi knowledge. What we are reading, Rupa Goswami explains in 1.1.11 of NOD, Nectar of Devotion. He says, what knowledge we are as a devotee, as an aspiring devotee, we are achieving is favorable to Krishna consciousness. We're trying to know about Krishna. For what purpose? So that we can love Krishna more. We're not trying to establish our jnana and so 20 people can clap upon us. Kya class diya hai? What a fantastic class you have given. No, we're not worried about that. Prabhupada says 20 SS are, praising you. What does it make a difference? So we're not after that so-called mundane fame. What we are after of all this jnana and Bhakti Shastri and all that, so that we can love Krishna more clearly, more scientifically, more from the bottom of our heart. And that's the only purpose. And that is completely devotional. And Krishna says at the end of Bhagavad Gita, whoever is reading Bhagavad Gita is also worshipping me with his intelligence. Okay, so this verse is for devotees. So dear devotees, you don't have to separately worry about, this Mamaji, this Chachaji, he does not have yagyas, and you ISKCON wala only was sitting and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. What will happen to you? No, everything can happen by this holy mantra. Okay, we'll stop here. Any quick questions on this chapter or some comments? Otherwise, we'll move to one of the most important chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Jai Prakash Prabhu. From Avyakta.
The 24th
Unmanifest voice. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Prabhu. The 24th and 25th, the 2 different contexts, right? One is the Uttarayana, other one is the Dakshinayana.
Yes.
And based on the explanation which Prabhupada has given, it's said R kind of a condition, right? It's not end. I mean, or during the 6 months when the sun travels, or during the waxing moon. It's not like all together.
Sorry, I'm not getting your question clearly.
So basically, if one passes during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north, which is Uttarayana time, or he passes in the waxing moon or in the daytime, it's not like all together, right, Prabhu? End. I mean, all these conditions
together, all together, and yeah, got your question. end slash or it's end. And that's why it's supremely difficult for the yogis. I'm talking jnana yogis, supremely difficult. That's why they take so many births and they're still after it. I'll make in this birth, I'll make in this birth.
Yeah. And the other thing is for the mystics, since these are two, we covered everything, right, Prabhu? So it's one is the Uttarayana, the 25th is the Dakshinayana. So these are the only two options, right? So either the mystics would end up on the Brahma Jyoti, or they would go to the moon planet and they'll come back. There is no other destination, right?
No. So as I was talking earlier to someone, you can take 3 layers, Prabhuji. So material world, Brahman, and then transcendental world. I should rather say Golok Vrindavan, right? So if you take that 3-layered approach, very clear. So Karmis will stay here, up and down, they will stay here. Gyanis, they will go up, stay a long time, back again, and only Bhaktas will go back and never come back. And Bhaktas means who have cleared their heart 100%, 100%.
Sure.
Okay. Sundar Gopal Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Sorry, Prabhuji, question that I was going to ask was about, and please pardon my ignorance if the question
No. Please go ahead, Prabhu.
Prabhu, in the purport, when I was reading, it said that the jivas become unmanifested during the night of Brahma. But again, in the night of Brahma also, there's this cycle of all those 4 Chaturyuga cycle keeps going on, right?
No, Prabhuji. So when Brahmaji night comes, that time everything is on hold basically. And there are multiple types of annihilations, which you can read in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, which explains to Uddhava in the Gita. There are 3 types of annihilations. There's a partial annihilation, there's a water annihilation, there's a full annihilation. So full annihilation obviously happens at the end of the life of Brahma. Partial annihilation happened during the life of Brahma, where the unleavened planetary system gets submerged with water only, and the final will be with Agni. So all the things come on hold, like a flooded place, for example, Prabhu, just a simple example, everything is put on hold for now, put on hold. But why we're talking about 1000 yugas, that's a time duration we are talking. Not Satyuga is happening, Chaturyuga, no, nothing like that. The time duration is same in the night as well. So if it was, I'm just saying 1 trillion human years for the day, so 1 trillion years for the night as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So everything is put on hold. Jivas are unmanifested. No one can see where is Hemanga Chaitanya's soul in Prithvi Loka or Patal Loka. Nothing is somewhere that's called unmanifest. You cannot see by physical eyes.
So where do these souls reside in that case? Because in the next one, it says that at night they're unmanifest. They have no body and reside within Vishnu. Also, at the end of Brahma's life, they all remain unmanifest until another Brahma is born. So what happens
in the body of Mahavishnu? So in one sense, everything is happening within Krishna. That's why I say Krishna says, no, everything is in me, but I'm not within it. So there's nothing outside Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay.
Some explanations explains, the Kamal Nal, where Brahmaji is sitting, all the planetary systems are in Kamal Nal, and everything is happening there, manifest, unmanifest, within the same realm. But when we talk about the word unmanifest, this is to denote you cannot physically, logically conclude, because if you could, that becomes a manifest thing, right? If you have a book in your shelf, your room number 3, shelf number 2, drawer number 3 will have a book. You're particularly able to have X, Y, and Z access to that book, right? But if you're able to do that, that means the book is manifest. Unmanifest, you cannot locate with your physical gross senses. That's a definition of unmanifest. You cannot locate it. This soul is sleeping in room number 413. You can't do that. So from physical gross senses, we just cannot understand. It's quite complex.
Sure, that makes sense, bro. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Prasanna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Quick one on this 825. Is there any significance for the smoke, Prabhu, the Dhumma?
Dhumo?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, as I was explaining in 824 as well, I'll just explain this similar thing, Prabhu. Jyoti or Agni, you take it as Agni. Prabhupada writes as fire. Chaitanya who explains the fire may not be a physical gross fire, it may be the presence of fiery god. Now, presence of fiery god can be in different gross elements, and if that is present, that's what is referred to. And Prabhu also explained, these words are explaining different demigods who are responsible for the journey of soul to different loka after you quit the body. So they should not be or cannot be taken from a very literal sense. Is that okay?
Yeah, yes, understood.
The presence of demigods who are in charge of these sort of facilities, and they will facilitate our journey after we do. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Manmohan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
24 and 25. So it's only for the Jnanis and Satis, not for the normal people, like, who are kind of mixed packs. They're doing everything.
So, Prabhu, normally 25 is for normal people because they will have done some punya, some papa. So they will actually categorize in 25. How many Gyanis are around us, to be very honest? How many people do we know? But Karmis, we all know. So actually, most of us will fall into this bucket, 25.
But if the Karmi lives in the Uttarayan phase, or does he also get the same result? Or
very, very good question. What happens if the Karmi lives in the previous situations, like 4 situations you talk about? Yes, it's very complex, Prabhu, and it's hard for us to literally translate these things. It's very hard. But the bottom line is, anywhere you go after you have done, because even Karmis, how do you define? They will have some tinge of jnana, some tinge of bhakti, right? Jnanis will have some tinge of karma, some tinge of bhakti. Very hard to give a pure certificate, 100%. But the bottom line is, Prabhu, whatever your predominant situation, mental situation is, predominant means bhakti or jnani or karmi, whatever, predominant mix will be there. Nothing is 100% except bhakti. Your destination will be defined. Now, how long you will stay there? Sometimes they say, you'll go to moon loka and live there for 10,000 years. Really? So everyone who goes there lives 10,000? Not necessarily. It's an indication given to us, long time. Now, based on, you go to a restaurant, not that you go, but if you go to a restaurant, you have $1,000 in your pockets. You can only buy the things which comes under $1,000, right? So although you can arrive to the restaurant, but you cannot have access to everything the restaurant has. So you can arrive to moon loka based on the currency which you have. Currency means punya you have, you will live there. You'll get the facilities. I heard in a lecture, someone gave, can't remember, in Swarg Loka, everyone has his own viman. Would you like a viman? Anyone? Both sorry, Toyota Corolla or Mazda, Lexus and all that, they are nice, but they're not so nice as viman. Shraddha Mataji, viman chalega? Nahi, Mataji is a pure devotee. I am not. Why not? Get a viman, get a helicopter. So everyone will have a vimana. But you know what the problem is? That vimana, you don't need petrol. By the way, if you're thinking about the petrol prices, Swarg Loka, there's no petrol stations. There's no $2.11 you have to pay for the petrol. They work on your desire. But the problem with viman is, my neighbor's viman is bigger than my viman. So the envy is present in Swarg Loka as well. Why is gadhe ko bada viman kyun mila? Why this foolish person got a better viman than me? When he was living in Earth Loka, I have never seen giving any donation, any charity. I was giving charity. So I should deserve a better viman, better plane than him. So although you get the viman, but the envy is still there, So there will be differences in Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, Suryaloka, there will be differences. So when we talk about, we're talking a very general conception of principle here. You go to Moon Loka, live there 10,000. That's it. But actually there are expansions on that as well. How you arrive, how long do you live, with what facilities you live. You go to America, we go, oh, we went to America. Hang on a second. You live in a Falcon Lodge there. You live in a 7-star hotel. You live in a 7-star hotel. When you're living in a 7-star hotel, given by company, and company said, I'll give you the hotel, but you have to have your own food. Then you go outside and buy a bread and cheese. So in 7-star hotel as well, there are multiple hierarchies. You can have a 7-star food or a 3-star food. Everywhere there will be differences. There's only one place, there's no difference, Vaikuntha Loka. The only difference there is our Guru will still be our Guru. Yashoda Maya will still be Yashoda Maya, but our heart will have no envy for them. We would love to serve them, not be served by them. Otherwise, there is no difference. Any facility you want to serve Krishna will be given in Vaikuntha to you. You want to glorify Krishna, you want to feed Krishna, you want to do anything, you can do it there. Is that okay?
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhu, I have a question.
Hare Krishna, Sharu Mataji. She always has
Probably-
the best questions.
No, probably a very stupid. Actually, one comment and one question.
Sure.
So we live, suppose the average lifespan is say 70, 75 years. All of those years are tested for that one moment when we leave our body. Kind of disheartening also. So for that one moment when you're leaving, you need to remember Krishna. That is all. I mean, I'm not talking about the auspiciousness of everything, the time, place, circumstances. No, just to remember him at that time and place is a longest test probably we all have to face. Just a comment and just something I keep thinking about. The other thing, what does your karma, previous karma, what part does it play in all of this? Because in my life, I have observed that some people, my own mother was very, 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 very religious, very pious, chanted so many rounds, died in ICU, no one around her. God knows what consciousness she was in. She was in trouble. It troubles me every single time I think about this. It really bothers me. And I have known some people who were not devotees, but they just left their life in such a wonderful way that I wish that happens to me. I mean, 1 minute they are there, the second minute they are gone. So what part does karma, your previous karma, play in all of this?
Thank you. Very, very nice and practical question. And it happens with all of us, not only in the death time, Mataji, and I'll be practical in every moment of our life, every day. Sometimes we feel, I'm so good. Why all the bad things of the whole world happening to me and my neighbor or this person, which I know, he's done all the bad activities. He never get any suffering. Huh? So all these questions go through our mind, and yeah, I can understand that. But one thing we have to understand, Mataji, from a devotional realm and whatever little knowledge we have so far, this life is just one very, very small portion of the existence of soul. Very, very small portion. And in this very, very small portion, you have given a very, very big opportunity, a big window to do your training exercise. Now, your boy would go to, I don't know, some sort of swimming lesson. I'll take my example. My boy goes for swimming classes, for example, right? And one day the teacher was taking a test. All of a sudden, he wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared. And she just came in and she said, show me what you know. And she had a big iPad. She had 20 pounds to test Gorgopal on certain things. And she was doing the right thing. But Gorgopal had been given opportunity for last 6 months to do practice for all those things which he could have done or could not have been done. That's a different story altogether. So similarly, we have been given this 70 years, 50 years, whatever, a long window in a very, very long existence of the soul, where this life is like not even a bubble. I cannot say Brahmaji lives for that bubble moment. We are not even that bubble, but that one moment which we are talking from relation to this life perspective, 70-year life and one moment. So all the tests happen like that. You write an IS exam or PCS exam or the best exams of your life. The exam only happens for 2 hours. And how much study you have to do? Whole year. Mohan Prabhuji can testimony that 18 years of study and one certificate, huh? That's not fair. Maybe he has more. I don't know how many medals he has. I don't have any medal. But this happens in all the walks of life. You have been given one opportunity. I did my MTech, studied very, very hard. Exam was only 2 hours or something, or maybe few 2 hours exam. So you get one piece of paper. You are masters of technology or something. Huh? You get one piece of paper. For that, you work super hard. And then you have done your graduation and all. It happens in every walk of life. So that's just the first thing. We have to compare not only from perspective of this life, we have to go back beyond. A simple example Prabhupada gave, you start watching a movie where, a person is getting beaten up. And you say, why are you beating this person? But if you watch the movie from the beginning, you'll know this is a villain and hero is beating the villain. Then you'll relish. Aha, very good, very good. Maro, or maro. One fist from my side as well, huh? We have not watched the full movie as yet. We enter into, after 2 hours and we say, oh, this poor person is getting beaten up, but you don't know how many he has beaten up previously. So he deserves this beating. That's one point. So when we talk about this life being very good, we are getting beaten up by our karma of previous life. Yes, that may be there, but we should not get disheartened at all. The problem is, sorry to say, with many of the devotees, not all, our definition of success and failure is wrong. It's wrong. Our success definition, if our body is good, if our relationship is good, if our finances are good, we are called, if we leave the body in a so-called nice way, we are successful. And a person who is not recognized in the society, doesn't have a good job, doesn't look good, doesn't speak good English or good French or whatever, he's not so successful. And same definition we apply for devotees as well. But actually, it's completely opposite. Completely opposite. My Guru Maharaj said, one person only washing dishes his whole life in the temple, and one day he's gone. You know why? He's gone back to Goloka. My Guru Maharaj says that. He's washing dishes. No one knows him in the temple. He doesn't know any Bhagavad Gita verses. He has gone back to Goloka because he sincerely did that seva. And I may be speaking big classes. I may not go. Why? Because my heart is still not changed. My heart is full with anartha. So in the society, you may certify a person as successful, which actually is not the definition of success. And you may certify a person as failure. It says Prabhupada, externally speaking, was a failure in India. He could not make any disciples. He could not establish any society. There are no followers. He had no paise. He had no money. He was so-called unsuccessful, materially speaking. In West, he was successful. But actually says that's not the definition. Prabhupada was successful from day one because he was fully Krishna conscious. He was trying to please Krishna from day one. So many times, I'm saying, if not all the times, we should go beyond this life. And that's why we say the starting knowledge is you're not the body, you're the soul. And the karma which we are suffering today, maybe of the karma which we have done 50 lifetimes ago, 100 lifetimes ago. We don't know how much reduction we have got by Krishna's mercy. We don't know. How we leave the body is just one part of this life and this soul. It's not super important, to be very honest. Because Krishna is looking the holistic picture. We are only looking at one picture. But why we are looking at one picture? Because we have no access to other pictures. So for us, one picture, if a child only has one toy, then one toy becomes the supremely important toy for him. So for us, it's just like a toy. But if we train ourselves nicely for that 6 months, when the teacher come and test you for the swimming lesson, you are able to do it. But it's not the final chance as well. You may fail in one swimming lesson, and the teacher told me he cannot do backstroke nicely, for example, although he did it nicely. I'm just putting one term here. So all he has to improve just one backstroke, and he will be graduated from this status, and he will go to the next class. That's the improvement. He has done 19 things correct. So you failed in this life, so-called failed, did not go back to Godhead. No problem. Radha Govind Maharaj said, for unlimited lifetimes we are here. Now, if you are serious devotee, then you will take Radha Govind Maharaj speaking 10 to 20 lifetimes. Radha Govind Maharaj said, if you are supremely serious. So if we don't go back to Godhead, it's fine. We have done 19 things correct. All we have to correct one thing, which few lifetimes will do it. So we have to look our vision beyond it, change the success and failure definition. Our mundane social definition of success and failure, we cannot implement on devotees. We cannot. And if we do that, actually we are not understanding this path very well. Our devotion is the devotion of heart, not devotion of how I speak, when I speak, how I look like, how many kantimalas I have, how many dandas I have, how many failures we have gone through. It has actually nothing. That failures is or successes as well. My Guru Maharaj said, I'm repeating again, I think I said in the class, the wealthiest person of this world is a pauper, You are the hero. You have the real wealth. Nurture this wealth. I love this statement. Because we say Bill Gates is successful. Really? Really? Not really. All these celebrities, Amog Leela Prabhu said, Shraddha Kapoor going in Mercedes Benz and whatnot, and sees someone on the street having pani puri. How lucky you are. Shraddha, Kash, मैं भी जाके ऐसे pani puri खा सकती. I could also eat pani puri like that on the street, but she can't do that. And the person who is eating pani puri at a thela, he's also, oh, Shraddha Kapoor, she's so lucky. No one is lucky, actually. They both are paupers. Both are paupers. So I think we have to change our vision very, very drastically and stop applying the normal definition of success and failures. And then we will see Krishna's mercy and our development. We say we have a long way to go. That's true, but we have come long way as well. We have come long way. We've been chanting for last 20, 25 years, every day without fail, 16 rounds. Even if you chanted mechanically, that much quota of Krishna is gone in your account. Huh? You have served Krishna, you have served Guru Maharaj, you have served devotees, we have done some little services for Krishna's pleasure, for devotees' pleasure, something, not a lot. That is in our account. That's our eternal wealth. We are so wealthy, actually. Now, what we don't have, yes, we don't have, we'll get it. Next few lifetimes, we'll get it. Our Guru will help us to get that. So look at that. And I think how your mother left is in specific case, maybe some karmic reactions. I don't know. I don't know. But what I can say, if she has lived a pious life, she will achieve a pious destination, extremely pious destination, a higher destination where she will have less steps to go in between her and Krishna. Huh? I can say a lot. I'm just looking at the watch at 6:20, but I think you get an idea. We have to start looking at the things differently than from a normal social perspective. And then we will become happy. Many times devotees are morose because they apply on themselves as well. I'm a failure devotee. My Guru Maharaj, there's no such thing called failure devotee. There's only a happy devotee or a miserable devotee. There's only two choices. You can be a happy devotee, be happy, whatever situations you are, or be miserable. But you're a devotee either way. So which devotee you want to be? A happy devotee or a miserable devotee? Be a happy devotee. Huh? Krishna slapped me. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you. When a mother slaps a child should feel fortunate. We don't. I also don't, but we should. And sometimes, I also go down, but another time, actually, Krishna, thank you for beating me up because I deserve it. I need it because I'm like that. I'm so jiddy. I'm so obstinate. Unless you beat me, thank you. Failure, thank you. Success, thank you. So just be a thankful devotee, happy devotee. Krishna is in charge. He's looking after you, your mother, your children, and the whole world, even an ant in your house, which you don't know about. He is the full controller of that ant. He's doing the best for that ant. He will do best for your mother, for you, for everyone. There's no lamentation in the life of a devotee. Lamentation means mode of ignorance. We are not seeing the hand of Krishna in a positive way. Sorry if I oversaid some things.
No. You just said the right things, and I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, so all of us, and I'm also sort of working on it, but I keep telling myself, my definition of success and failure need to change. My success is only when I'm a devotee. My failure is when I'm not a devotee. World can worship me. Who cares? Whole world can put my name on internet. Who cares that success? Sridhar Maharaj says, if Krishna is pleased with my services, whole world spits at me. Sridhar Maharaj says that, whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed. I love that. The whole world is putting me garlands and worshipping me. Krishna doesn't like it. I don't want it. If we put that statement on our forehead, we will be successful, happy devotee. Otherwise,
I wasn't thinking more from perspective of success or failure. My thought process was that for 70 years, let's say I started chanting at the age of 30. Up to the age of 70, it's still a long time to go. And I'm not talking about success and failure in the terms that we define success and failure in material world, how we define it. I was just thinking about it in terms of 40 years is a long span of time. And to be able to consistently maintain all this, along with all the ups and downs that you go through life, you do end up not being very consistent, or you do end up not doing what is expected of you. And that's when, that's why towards the end, to remember this is so hard. Why I was thinking of this, because over the last few days, we've all been listening to the memorial functions of His Holiness Kadamba Kanan Maharaj. And the two that really struck me very, very, very strongly were Jayadvait Maharaj's memorial, what he spoke at Maharaj's memorial. He said that I used to tell Kadamba Kanan Maharaj to not chant. You can just chant one mantra and think it is one round. But Maharaj begged me saying, please Maharaj, don't give me that instruction. Don't give me that instruction. I want to be able to chant till the end. And Maharaj, Jayadvait Maharaj, almost he broke down then. He was so, like, it was a very poignant moment. And what it meant was that Maharaj was, Kadambakanand Maharaj was so consistent in his chanting. He wanted to do it till the end. He was very strong in that sense. The second one was his servant giving a memorial, like speaking at the memorial. And he spoke of the last minutes. He said Maharaj was so sick the previous night. The second day morning, he was just lying in bed and his servant was sleeping because he had not had a break for so long. And when he woke up, it was around 8 o'clock. So he wanted to wake Giriraj up. And Jayadvait Maharaj said, no, don't wake him up. And so then at around whatever 10, 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, whenever, or just before that, when he started doing the Aarti, woke Giriraj up. That's when Kadambakanand Maharaj also just turned and saw. And the last moments were really like amazing. It was just how it's been described here in the Bhagavad Gita, what you should do, how you should do it. It was a copybook way of leaving this world. But because he had just lived that life, and as a grahastha, you can't live that kind of life, dealing with people outside at work, even at home, going through the stresses, going through so many distractions. And that's where my question came from.
Yeah. But just one thing I would like to add, absolutely correct what you said, Mataji. We don't have to lead that sort of life. We don't have to. So as you said, we can't and we don't need to. But the destination can still be same. So a sannyasi life is different than a grahastha life. But the point is Krishna loves both. Krishna loves both. He gives both equal opportunity. Now, there can be more challenges in a grahastha life. There are another challenges in sannyas life as well. So my point is only one simple point. Krishna loves both. And as you know, Lord Ram was loving the Hanumanji service and the little squirrel service exactly same. So we should not compare, and we cannot, as you said. But being a squirrel is also valid. Sri Ram will still be pleased. So eventually, maybe not in this life, some other life, few lifetimes later, we will all actually achieve that destination. So that's the beauty of Bhakti Marga. You can be in Grahastha life, you can have, day-to-day life challenges. But if we continue with the squirrel type capacity, Lord Ram will still accept us. So, and that's very beautiful. Lord Ram doesn't demand us to become Hanuman. Oh, you're not Hanuman, get out. I'm a little squirrel. I'm not even a squirrel. Lord Ram says, wonderful squirrel, please come. And, he had 3 lines because Lord Ram touched the squirrel. So I love that story. I can't be Hanuman. Never. Can't even imagine. Don't need to be Hanuman. Squirrel, be the best squirrel. That's all. Is that okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
I'll stop here. Madhuri Mataji, I'm sorry. It's 6:27. I usually try to stop around 6:20, 6:15. We'll take it next time. Huh? So we'll stop here. Sundar Prabhu, very quickly, you have any major announcement for us?
Hare Krishna. No, Prabhu, you made the announcements in the beginning about the classes changes. The only thing that I wanted to say was from the 9th of April, we would be like changing the time to 3:30. Instead of starting at 4, we'll start at 3:30.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we'll meet you all again this Wednesday. I'll repeat the date, 22nd, I guess.
22nd, Prabhuji. I'll send the message.
Yeah. So 22nd March, we'll have 7 to 9 class. So please, okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Lord Premanande.
Hare Krishna.